I had the heads of the intelligence committees on last week, and both Dianne Feinstein and Mike Rogers said that they felt that the U.S. was less safe now than it has been, both because of the kind of versatile and widespread threat of terrorism, not just one group, but a whole bunch of groups, and because one or two people can do a lot of damage. I want to see if you agree with that, Mr. Chairman, that the United States proper is less safe now because of this moving threat of terrorism.
I think a lot of programs, policies we've put in place since 9/11 have prevented a 9/11 style attack. On the other hand, I think the threat has become greater, not lesser. So when the President of the United States talks about he downgrades the threat, his narrative is Al-Qaeda's on the run, and since bin Laden's been killed, the threat is no longer existing, I think is a false narrative and premise. Because as we see this threat all throughout northern Africa, as we saw Egypt fall, Libya, now Syria is a great culmination of the Sunni-Shia conflict. I personally see it spreading like a spider web, like a wildfire through northern Africa and the Middle East. And as that threat increases overseas, so too does it increase to the homeland. And that's my biggest concern as Homeland Chairman, is to keep that threat outside the United States. And I think it's getting worse, not better. And
Congressman, you're on the Intel Committee. You see things most of us don't. I guess my question is, are we up to this kind of new permutation of the terrorist threat?
Well, I think we are. And I was surprised, I have to say, by the reaction you got from both our chairs last week. I think vis-a-vis the kind of attack we had on 9/11, we are much safer than we were. We have seriously degraded the core of Al-Qaeda, their ability to organize that kind of a massive attack. It's true there's a proliferation of these spin-offs, of these low-level attacks, plans of these lone wolves like we saw in Boston. They're still very threatening. But I think we are safer from the big attacks. We do see, a continued risk of these smaller attacks. And we see increased instability, and Syria right now is ground zero.
Are we up to keeping terror off our shores, and which includes, by the way, U.S. embassies everywhere?
I think we are better at it now than we have ever been. But we are never going to be 100% safe. And the kind of magnet that Syria has become, with people flocking to Syria to join the jihad, and who may come back, is going to be a problem we're going to deal with the next decade.
And if I could associate myself with my colleagues' remarks, absolutely. I think Syria is now the training ground for the world. These jihadists are pouring in every day. And these rebel forces, I believe, are more of a threat than anything, particularly if they got a hand on these chemical weapons. That's one of my greatest concerns over there. I agree that the smaller scale attacks, they've evolved into that. A 9/11 style probably couldn't happen today, but a small scale, like we saw in Boston this very year. We saw a Boston attack, the largest since 9/11. That could easily happen again. It's very difficult for our intelligence community to detect and deter and disrupt that.
So